Now, since you've seen this AIO inside the Dual Phase Pro RGB, what I suggested to guys at Cougar is for them to send an AIO to make it a complete build with case and AIO and front and back fans and everything all together. So they sent out this quite interesting AIO because just by looking at the fans I can see it has a great performance, because these aren't regular fans that we get usually on the AIOs with different propellers or whatever. But let's start from the beginning. This is COUGAR Poseidon GT 360 high performance AIO liquid cooling system, solution, cooler, however you want to call it. And we have addressable RGB pump, but the fans aren't addressable RGB. There's no lights coming from them because they are based more on performance, and that's quite logical, I would say. Now, what we get inside is, as already stated, quite interesting design on the pump block top, which we will get to that later on. We have a couple of specifications that you really need to know. So it supports up to LJ 1700, it supports Threadripper, so TR4 and TRX4, and of course up to AM5. We have copper cold plate, we have pump going up to 3200 RPMs, plus minus 200. Then the connector for the pump is 3-pin, as well as the 5 volts addressable RGB 3-pin connector. We have a brazing type of radiator, dimensions 392 times 121 times 27 millimeter of thickness. Material is aluminium and the length of the tubes is 400 millimeters. The thickness of the fans is 25 millimeters and the speed goes from 600 to 2000 RPMs, again plus minus 200 RPMs. The airflow is 82.48 CFM with air pressure 4.24 millimeters H2O. The acoustic noise is a bit higher, 34.5 decibels. Quite interesting pump block top with addressable RGB and mirror effect, and it has a rotatable pump head for log orientation. Of course, I know some of you guys will prefer that. What I mentioned about the fins on the radiator, this is something completely different and I honestly haven't seen this before. The heat transfer surface is built with Cougar Ultralight fins, which are shaped at the right angle. This is the difference because usually it's bent, and this provides increased efficiency for heat transfer compared to the common fins. This is interesting. Black gray design going throughout, nice Cougar logo on the side as well. We have the same design on the pump top, and let's see, rotatable with a click, which means that it goes each 90 degrees, I think it should be, because I can't see the logo since we have the mirror effect, but regardless of that, I'll show you that later on. Copper plate here at the bottom, which is quite large for Threadripper as well. I think it should be fine. And we have 3-pin DC header and addressable RGB. That's basically it. If you're worried about addressable RGB of the pump, you don't have to worry if you don't have it on your motherboard, because we have a controller that is used to connect it to your SATA from your power supply, and then you just connect whatever you wish pump here, and just with the press of a button adjust the light, and that's all there is to it. Now for the performance, let's place it in the Dual Phase Pro RGB. I think I already did that, but this is a future video, so I'm talking in the past. Let's do it and let's check out the thermals and performance. Now usually we don't see that much of a difference when we're talking about 360 radiators, but something happened inside this case with this AIO, giving the AMD Ryzen 5 7600X an incredible boost, and I didn't even expect to get this kind of results. I was thinking that it will eventually pass 15,000, like I mentioned in a couple of videos back, because it was quite close. I think the last result was 14,988 or something similar to that. But with the Poseidon GT 360, it actually passed 15,000. And I don't know how, I don't know why, most likely, I mean, I know why. It cools much better with more efficiency, and then what happens is we get lower thermals but still higher clock speeds. It pushes the CPU to the maximum, of course, and what happens then? It happens that it scores better in Cinebench. So I have to go through all of these details. Cinebench R23 7600X with tempered glass, because I was using the Dual Phase Pro RGB case here, and of course going to pair up the case with the AIO from the same brand, because in my ideology that makes sense. So tempered glass, the clock speed on the CPU went up to 5350 MHz, while the thermals went up to 84, and this continued throughout the whole tests. It started immediately at 15,183 and then it immediately jumps on the second test to 15,269. Now this is 300 or even 400 Cinebench points more than the past 360 AIOs that I covered. Then it went around 15,200 and it stayed there until it went up again to 15,277, which was the maximum score. Now what happened with the mesh panel? So it started at 82 degrees Celsius, 5400 MHz clock speed, and the score was immediately a bit lower basically than tempered glass, so 15,256. Then it went over tempered glass, 15,274, and it stayed around near 300, and then it went up to 15,333. Of course there are some ups and downs, I can't complain about that, but really getting this score just by changing the AIO, I honestly didn't expect that. And I was expecting it might go above 15,001 or 002 or something, you know, just at least scratching the surface, something like that, but it actually went really high. So yeah, and we have some difference in thermals, which you can see started at 82, it finished at 83, and he automatically changes the clock speed from 5400 to 5375, but that's okay. Pump speed was average pump speed was 3237 RPMs. Now next in line, I actually did a VRay test on the 7600X just to see the thermal score and all the other stuff. So we have 5400 MHz, 80 degrees Celsius, 11,453 V samples. AIO 64, now this was also quite interesting because with tempered glass, the CPU went up to 5400 MHz, 82 degrees Celsius, and it was quite solid, I would say. When we're talking about that, this was also a 30-minute test, so yeah. Then with mesh front, the clock speed went up to 5450 and the CPU went up to 80. So what I can say is, first, the mounting mechanism and everything that you have to do with placing it on AM5 is really straightforward. There's no additional stuff that you need to learn while placing this AIO, because you already have a backplate. You just use those not thumb screws but plastic standoffs with the screws for mounting the CPU block and then tying it up with thumb screws, and radiator and fans. You already know how to connect everything, so there's that. I connected actually everything to the controller on the case, so I basically controlled the lights as such with the press of a button, but there's still a connection to the motherboard. So if I basically reset it to standard settings, it will go, let me just find the purple, it will go back to the following the motherboard that gave the signal for certain color scheme. But what I can say about the COUGAR Poseidon GT 360 is that it definitely deserves a PC Crazy badge. I mean, the case got a PC Crazy approved badge, and I think it's only appropriate to give the Poseidon GT 360 a PC Crazy performance badge, because I honestly didn't achieve these scores with any other 360, and I think that's fair enough. So yeah, quite cool combination, the Dual Phase Pro RGB with the Poseidon GT 360. The star of the show is the AIO without a doubt, and with its performance. I'll place the link in the description below so you can check out the price and everything that additionally I might have forgotten in the video, but you can definitely check everything there. And if you want to pair this AIO with this case, I'll put the Dual Phase Pro RGB also in the description. That's all there is to it, guys. Thank you for watching today's video. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button and notification bell, and I will see you most likely next time. Thanks, bye bye.